Back in the mid 1970s, Jack Bogle changed investing forever by introducing the first index fund. Later, the three-fund portfolio became the gold standard for retail investors, and most 401ks are still using the exact same old logic today. But that logic was not built for an AI-driven, global tech-dominated world. So today I will walk you through a modern version of that strategy and show you how your ETF allocation should change as you age so your money works with your life, not against it. The original Boglehead three-fund portfolio is built on three simple pieces. The first one is US stocks, second is international stocks, and third is bonds. That structure made complete sense decades ago. But today, two of those pieces no longer behave the way people think they do. A 30-year-old and a 60-year-old should not be investing the same way, but most people keep the same allocation for decades. And today I will show you a simple 3 ETF framework I would use in your 20s, in your 40s, and near your retirement. Now let's start with why the original three-fund portfolio needs an update. The problem is not the idea of diversification. That part still works. The problem is that two of the three pieces behave very differently today than they did when the portfolio was created. Let's start with the second component, the total bond market. Bonds were supposed to be a stabilizer, right? When stock fell, bonds were supposed to hold steady. But in recent years, many investors learned the hard way that the stocks and bond can fall at the same time. If you look at the 2022 returns, the total US stock market fell by about 19%, and the total bond market fell by 13%. So the thing that was meant to reduce stress ended up adding more to it. That doesn't mean bonds have no role, but it does mean their role needs to be rethought, especially if you are still in your earning years. So bonds are that first piece that changed. The second one is international stocks, and this one is even more misunderstood. International stocks were meant to be the diversification side, and this is where the second assumption starts to break down. In the original three-fund portfolio, international stocks served a clear purpose. The idea was geographical diversification. If the US slowed down, other parts of the world would carry your portfolio. That made sense decades ago. But businesses does not work that way anymore. Today, the largest US companies are already global businesses. They earn a significant portion of their revenue outside the US. So when you buy a broad US index, you're already getting built-in international exposure. Now look at the broad international ETF like VXS. Over long stretches, it has meaningfully underperformed the US market. So instead of providing diversification with higher upside, this part of the portfolio has often delivered lower returns without the protection people expected. When the original assumption changed, the portfolio needs to change with them. So instead of throwing away the three-fund idea, I updated what goes inside it. 3 buckets, 3 jobs. But each bucket now reflects how the market actually behaved today, not how they behaved decades ago. The first bucket is still the foundation, and this part does not change. The second bucket is about stability, but stability now means something different than it used to. And the third bucket is about growth. But growth today is driven by totally different forces. Let me show you the updated 3 ETF framework. Let's start with the part that does not change. The foundation of the original Boglehead three-fund portfolio was a broad US stock market index, and that idea still holds. When Jack Bogle introduced index fund investing, the insight was simple but powerful. Instead of trying to guess which companies would win over a long period of time, you own the entire market. A total US market ETF or S&P 500 ETF does exactly that. You get exposure to thousands of companies across industries, across economic cycles without having to make constant decisions. That is why this bucket remains the core engine of the portfolio. It is boring, it is simple, and that is precisely why it works. Now, in this updated framework, the foundation stays the same. A low-cost, broad US index ETF remains the anchor, and everything else in the portfolio is built around this, not instead of this. The second bucket in the original three-fund portfolio was always about stability. That role was traditionally filled by bonds. When stocks fell, bonds often held up. But as we just saw, that behavior has not been consistent in recent years. So instead of forcing bonds to play a role they no longer reliably play, this updated framework asks a different question. What actually provides stability today? And for many investors still in their earning years, stability is not about avoiding all movement. It is about lower volatility, reliable cash flow, and durability. That is why this second bucket shifts towards a high quality dividend ETF. Example people often recognize include funds like SCHD, IG, or DGRO. Let's take SCHD, the Schwab's US Dividend Equity ETF, as an example here. Of course, none of this is a financial advice. These are just examples I think best suit the theme I'm playing here. Over the last 5 years, SCHD has delivered close to 9% annual returns. Over 10 years, that number moves north of 11% per year. And since inception, it has compounded at around 12% annually. That is not bond like performance. That is like equity level growth with much lower volatility. And on top of that, SCHD has consistently paid dividends, typically around 3 to 4% range, which means investors are getting real cash flow along the way. This is why SCHD fits so well into this stability bucket. And with stability handled this way, the final bucket is where we intentionally lean into growth. In the original three fund portfolio, this role was often filled with international stocks. The idea was simple: find growth outside the United States. But here is what changed now. Today, roughly 30 to 40% of the revenue generated by the large US companies already come from outside the United States. Think about that for a second. When you buy a broad US index, you're already buying companies that sell products globally, earn revenue globally, and compete globally. So, growth today is not about where a company is headquartered. It is about how scalable the business is. So instead of chasing geography, this updated framework focused directly onto growth itself. That brings us to the third bucket. And this final bucket is the firepower of this portfolio. And in 2026, let's be real, a big part of that growth story is AI. But I don't think most people should try to guess the single winner like Tesla, Nvidia, Meta, or Microsoft. We don't know who is going to be the hottest and the winner of this AI era. So the core of this bucket is a broad growth ETF, something that systematically leans towards large cap growth companies. Example people recognize include QQQM, which tracks the Nasdaq 100, or SCSG, which tracks a large cap growth index, or VUG, another large cap growth index fund. Now, if you want to make the AI theme more direct, you don't have to pick individual stocks. You can add a small satellite tilt with a tech ETF like VGT, which is information technology sector, or a semiconductor ETF like SMH, which targets the largest and most liquid US listed semiconductor companies. And these are all basically the picks and shovels behind AI. If you look at the data, SCHG has given around 16% return since its inception and 18% in the last 10 years. So if someone invests, say, $500 per month in SCHG with, say, 16% return for next 30 years, they would have $4.37 million. Of course, you'll have to adjust it for inflation. Or if someone invests, say, $500 per month in VGT for 30 years at 14%, that's what the fund has returned in the last 20 years, they would have $2.7 million. Just always remember though, the more specific you go, the more concentrated and volatile it gets. So the core stays broad and any AI tilt, it stays small and intentional, because this smaller bucket, it will move around a lot more than the foundation, and that is expected. But volatility is the entry for a long-term growth. All right, now that we have our three-part portfolio, a growth ETF for firepower, a foundational ETF for long-term market exposure, and a dividend ETF for stability, the question becomes how these should be allocated as your life changes. All right, let's start with your early career or roughly in your 20s. At this stage, time is your biggest advantage. You are earning, you are learning, you're adding more money consistently. So the portfolio's job is simple: grow aggressively. And that means leaning heavily into growth ETF while keeping a solid base in the foundational ETF. And a reasonable range here might look like growth ETF around 50 to 60%, foundational ETF around 30 to 40%, and dividend ETF around 10 to 20%. Volatility here is not a risk, but quitting is. So stay invested. Now let's talk about your mid-career, roughly in your 30s or early 40s. Now life gets busier, as we all know. Career pressure increases, family and financial commitment show up. Growth still matters, but so does sleeping well at night. And this is where balance starts to matter more. A typical range could be growth ETF around 40 to 45%, foundational ETF around 35 to 40%, and dividend ETF around 15 to 25%. You're still compounding, just with smoother ages. Now, during your peak earning years, roughly in your 40s to early 50s, at this stage you have built meaningful progress. Now, the goal shifts from maximizing growth to protecting what you already have built. Growth stays, but stability becomes more important. And a reasonable range here would be growth ETF around 30 to 35%, foundational ETF around 40 to 45%, and dividend ETF around 20 to 30%. You're still investing for future, just with fewer emotional swings. Now let's talk about 5 to 10 years before retirement. Out here, risk changes character. It is no longer about market crashes. It is about timing. You want growth, but you cannot afford a large drag down right before the withdrawals begin. A typical range at this age would be growth ETF around 20 to 25%, foundational ETF around 40 to 45%, and dividend ETF around 30 to 40%. The portfolio's job here is resilience. And now during the retirement, this portfolio supports life. Growth does not disappear, but stability takes the lead. A common range could be growth ETF around 10 to 15%, foundational ETF around 35 to 45%, and dividend ETF, which is the stability, that is around 40 to 50%. And this creates ongoing growth, reliable income, and it reduces volatility. See, you are not changing ETFs every year, right? You are just changing weights as your life evolves. And if you're already allocating your time correctly by watching this video, hit that subscribe button so YouTube can also allocate a little more attention to spreading it to the people who actually needs it. Your finance friend Sushant, signing off.